Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you're doing fantastic. I wanted to quickly come on to talk about today's candidate trial. The medical doctor, right? The forensic pathologist, Dr. Laposata, I guess that's what's her name. And from the medical sciences and medical research science perspective, and as a medical scientist, and as someone who gave lectures in universities, right, to students, uh, I have to tell you that this lady was absolutely scientifically, medically, and as an educator, a rock star. I couldn't believe the amount of the quality of education, and you could tell she was totally focused on education and her background, and you can tell that she was literally born to educate. The way she described the medical analysis, the medical the anatomy, and the injuries, and how the system works, and the physiology, and the path around it, and what is actually going on in the surrounding, in a very eloquent way, in an absolutely outstanding educational perspective, educational way. I fell in love as a medical scientist and as someone who educated, in universities and classes to students. She was absolutely high quality and the true educator. You could tell it. She was born for it. And I loved how, in a layman term, she perfectly, and I rewinded and rewatched that, I think 2-3 times, to really see how she explained the head injury of Officer John O'Keefe and the back, and then what happened afterwards. None of the two medical witnesses did not explain it so well like she did. I believe that every single person would have understood what she was talking about, what actually happened. I don't think that came across well with that first pathologist. I don't think it came across well with that neurosurgeon at all anyway. But this time, I believe every single person in the room, I believe, would have understood exactly what happened in aftermath, what happened to the brain, how the swelling, and how she multiple times explained that the brain, was going literally swelling down to the spine. And after this, I want to say also what I now believe: two things. And stay tuned to that. I will just talk about two important things that I think this actually caused me to believe now, based on these, what she said and everything else, what her analysis was. I think this changed everything. I think the game is over, but also on my mind, I have now two things to think about. And also want to say, just very briefly, switching to ARCA, as you all know, I am absolutely in love with the high quality of ARCA people and the company as a whole, the quality for Dr. Rentschler and Dr. Wolf. Especially Dr. Rentschler, it is just so wonderful to hear this high quality, high level science and scientists talking. This today, Dr. Laposata and Dr. Rentschler is my, people know me, know that I rarely ever say that. And as you all know, I'm an academician, so I've been around many high level, really world rock star cancer scientists around the globe. And there's really not many people that I say, okay, this person is like my guru or whatever. But this Dr. Laposata and Dr. Rentschler, the quality of their not only education, that's another story, of course they're high educated, but the way they explain the science, the medicine, the technique, the engineering, all in the way it's so eloquently and so beautifully and so simple and in a very layman terms, is just beautiful to watch. I loved it so bad. Now let's talk about what I was thinking. I mean, first of all, the game is actually over. Like literally after Dr. Laposata's analysis and the way she laid it out in a very simple and structured way, on point, no schnick schnack, that's what it is and that's what it is, literally proved everything that he died from this blunt head injury. Zero and right? Like zero car, zero falling on the grass. Like, what is even that about? And I loved how she said, then there would have been grass. Exactly. Then there would have been dirt. I mean, have you ever fallen on the street? Have you ever fallen on, I don't know, a off-road? There's always dirt on the wound, on the rash, 100 million %. But there was zero, none, right? So that's that. There was no any grass, like falling from grass. Like this person's head popped up open. And to even suggest that somehow somebody falls back on the grass is an insult on the human anatomy, on the human skull, how very, very strong, like as in a biology, obviously the human body, hi Amber, yay! I knew this was you. I could feel it that was you. I could feel it that was you. Nice to see you again. So the human body is made in such a way that it protects the most important organ in our body, and that's the brain. The most important organ is the brain, not the heart. It's the brain. And that's why it's inside a heart skull. And so when to suggest even that was fallen on the grass and popped up open, again, is an insult on a human body, basically. So, and then she said very perfect, that wording that she said, then there would have been grass on the wound, which nobody ever mentioned that. And that was perfect. That was perfect. 100% definitely not on the grass. That's number one. Number two, she the way she described it was unlike any other ones that the medical examiner and the neurosurgeon, the way she expressed it was that apparently when he fell, and that was a surprise to me that she said he fell down. When he asked if he knew it was under the grass, she said dirt. Yeah, exactly. There would have been dirt, and I loved also that part. But when she mentioned that was awesome. So I was surprised that she also said that he fell backwards. I would have not said that in my mind, because there's such a big force. That's everyone said that. It has to be such a big force. She repeatedly said that it has to be a big force. Obviously, right? I mean, the ARCA people, it has to be a huge force to create that pop up open skull. And so I mean, the way what she said was a lot of question now in my mind. So number one question. So he fell backwards in a sharp edge, but with some not flat surface, but some like ridge like this, but not in that way, but in that way, like this, in an upward angle. And it had to be something, it should have been something sharp. Imagine he falls backwards on a sharp edged, in a very, with some, not flat surface like this, but in that way. And then he falls on this backwards in that way. I mean, my mind, I was like so close to crying, and I couldn't hold that. I couldn't contain myself how sorry I felt for John O'Keefe, because how horrible this is. And the way she described how the brain goes further down into the spine, and the spine gets like, oh God, can you, the description was so, to even think about what he has been through. He was tortured to death, literally. His death was torturous. And of course, his arm, with, you can see fresh red arms, like this, injuries on the arm, the teeth, the cloud, whatever, it was bright red. Obviously, this was before death, 100%. But, not only that he was tortured into death, stop breathing, heart stops, the breath stops, like he was literally suffocated to death. I mean, even to just think about makes me sick, makes me so sick. I mean, it is horrendous. And I'm hoping that, obviously the jury will not, analyze it based on the horrendousness how he died, but because we are talking this, he was literally tortured to death. Like, but let's say something much more important. Not only the case is over, my mind, the case is over because she said what she said, it's there's no other way. She explained it in all variety of angles, and she didn't allow Brennan to just poke holes, because she closed every hole. With what? With knowledge. Welcome to my channel. That's what we do here. Knowledge is power. She blocked every single hole that Brennan tried to poke with knowledge. There was no way in hell that Brennan was able to do that. And that's because of that, the case is over. And I really do think the jury has understood perfectly now what's going on. And what she said was, and that's very clear as day. So imagine that torturous event, that after the brain get that hit, and then the brain swells and go down into the spine, and then the spine get also tight inside, so that his normal function stops, breathing and heartbeat. And then within 15 minutes, he would be dead. And here's my question. And I don't understand how people keep, like, if you follow the trial, they keep saying, and he was found dead on the Fairview, whatever. And then some say, okay, he was still trying to be with that on the machine, and the hospital, he died in hospital. So he wasn't dead. I get so mad when people in the trial, they keep saying, so he was found dead on the street. No, he was still alive. They tried, he was still breathing, so that they tried to rescue him, and he died, and they put it on this machine that did all the bruises on the internal organs, that device. But he did not die. They did not found him dead. Listen, if they don't found him dead, and she puts a timeline of 15 minutes of this occurred. They found him at 5:30 in the morning. Then go back 15 minutes, say 5 a.m. in the morning. Go back 15 minutes. I mean, for then it must have been so that he was inside the entire time, right? Because at 12:30 a.m. everybody was going in and out, in and out, in and out. And he was somewhere. Maybe they put him on the backyard, I don't know, outside, because somehow maybe that Fort, at the time when the Fort Edge, wasn't that Fort Edge at 4 a.m. there? Didn't that blow driver said that Fort Edge was at 4 a.m. there, or 5 a.m. or 4 a.m.? I think it was said something 4 a.m., wasn't it? Because that would be the timeline, because when you calculate back, if they found him at 5 a.m., and then the body got it colder again, and within these 15 minutes, he's trying to getting cooler and cooler and cooler, then that Fort Edge timeline must, I guess, fit. And if that fits, if that happened, that Fort Edge, the time when they put him out, for example, then they must have done this around that time. So where was the entire time John O'Keefe then? Then from 12:30 a.m. until 4 a.m., where was he then? Because all of his devices show after 12:30, he didn't do anything. That was the last time he was opening his phone consciously. So between 12:30 and 4 a.m. then, where was he then? Was he alive? Then he must have been alive, or he was maybe was drunk. I think it was in the garage, but then yes, he was maybe in the garage, but not severely injured. Because if she says, I mean, was he, because also the toxicologist said he had a very huge amount of alcohol in his body. That's what I remember in the first trial, or I think it was the first trial. But what we see on the videos, he wasn't that drunk. He wasn't even much drinking the whole night. And so the entire time during the second trial, my entire brain was keep thinking, maybe they just gave him too much alcohol, like entire time, come downstairs, let's drink, and they gave him more alcohol, maybe, I don't know. And then my theory would be, they gave him a lot of alcohol, he was just literally getting more and more drunk, they just chit-chat there, showed him the room, and then the dog attacked him, and then because he was drunk now, the dog attacked him, and then he fell backwards because he was stumbling, because he was not that drunk. Neither Karen nor him, they were not that drunk. Particularly John wasn't drunk at all. Also, the testimony for Karen, she wasn't that drunk. She wasn't stumbling on the words, but John had a really high promille of alcohol in his body. That was the testimony of the toxicologists. But the video doesn't match that at all. And so what is now then happening? I got more question now. What happened in between John O'Keefe, where I don't think he was injured. I don't think they were, and imagine then the other scenario, if he was injured and it was already 12:30 a.m. Kristen, hi. They said his blood alcohol level in the morning was at levels that produced coma. Exactly. Exactly. See, do you remember that too? Exactly. That wasn't the case whatsoever. So I had the entire second, from the beginning onwards, my entire time, I remember every time I was doing chores, I was thinking maybe they kind of pulled him just this alcohol, because that doesn't match. He wasn't that drunk. Where did all the alcohol came in? And so say if he was injured inside, it's even worse that they waited for hours, him dying and bleeding inside, to wait for hours to put him outside. What? I mean, hi guys, you guys are so sweet. Can you imagine? I mean, what do you think, guys? Do you think this is like even further unimaginable? To just, okay, they put him out there to die on the cold, but did they injured him before, from the time 12:30 onwards, because there was the last time his telephone was working? What happened between 12:30, when last time he used his cell phone, until that 15 minutes go backwards, what the Dr. Laposata said, that he would be dead in 15 minutes. They found him at 5:30 or 5 a.m. in the morning, still alive. And body temperature he wasn't frostbitten. He wasn't. The temperature was 80, was slowly going down, but wasn't in a frostbite. So they put him closer to whatever that fourth edge was, when that blow driver saw that fourth edge around 4 a.m. I think it was. Tell me what time that was, but I think it was 4 a.m. So between 12:30 and 4, he was at a warm place, full stop. Yes, she said that I think she said that 3 times. Go watch it. That was very important. She said that 3 times. She said that one time during direct examination. Yeah, see? 3:45, 4 a.m. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So between 12:30 was the last time he opened his cell phone. He used his cell phone. Around 4 a.m., the blow driver saw saw the fourth edge, that, my friend, is the timeline when he was put it out. That fourth edge over there, right where the flagpole. There's no other way. He was between 12:30 and 4 a.m. that till that time inside, because from 4 a.m. until 4:45 towards 5 a.m., that will make it slowly temperature going down. And then we found him, he was cold enough, but not frostbite at all. Oh my God. He was inside for 4 or 3.5, 4 hours inside. Guys, this is horrendous. Do you see what's happening here? He was inside for this time. Was he injured inside and they let him bleed? Does it make sense to you? What I'm just saying, my analysis, does it make sense? Because there's medically and all of this combined no other way. He wasn't frostbitten. The injury style is that he would die within 15 minutes. So either then you would say if they would let him die inside, I mean, if for 3.5, 4 hours, he would have been dead with those injuries. Then that must have been way later, maybe towards the time when the fourth edge came, around 4. But what happens in between? That he is so unconscious that he cannot use his phone. He was given alcohol. He was attacked. Yes, and he herniated his brainstem that put him on life support. Exactly, and that was when he fell down on this sharp edge like this, like that. Not that way, but that way. That was what popped it open. Imagine this. So there must have, number one, he was inside, full stop, end of story. He was in a warm place, end of story. They put him out when that timeline, when that fourth edge was being seen, around 4 a.m., full stop. Because the body temperature and his forensic, the science doesn't show anything other than that. His body was not, has not any frostbite at all. And temperature was, and the annual temperature was 80. That's it. He was at that time, that must have been that, but the injury that caused he wasn't dead. Remember, he wasn't dead. So he must have that falling backwards, that blunt head injury must have been closer to that 4 a.m. timeline. But what happened between 12:30 and 4? Inside, but what? That nobody knows. That nobody knows. Inside, but sleeping drunk, attacked by, there's no screaming, or he was at the end screaming and somebody just like, I mean, guys, I still just don't, I just don't, still don't believe this falling backwards theory. I still think that it was hit, but I mean, somebody hit him with something on the head. Or he literally was so drunk and he got attacked by the dog, and then he stopped because he was so the alcohol level was so high that he stumbled and literally fell backwards. I also, yes, Kristen, I also think he was hit. I honestly, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Didn't, in the last video, I literally said, with the neurosurgery, watch that video, the neurosurgery video, I said, in order for him to fall backwards to get that injury, he must have felt like this. Like straight down with that force of his body, boom. And then I said in that video, he must have been so drunk that he just literally fell back like this on this edge, like that, right? But because otherwise, if he was just like, oh, like that, it would have been much more smoother. Exactly, right? So he would have been, if that, he would just a little bit drunk, he would have been like, oh, and then would be not, that wouldn't be that injury. He would have been like that, which means full-blown drunk or full-blown drugged. Otherwise, the natural human body is like this, like that, right? So that wasn't happening. He was like, who feels like that? Even if you stumble upon something, or the dog attacks you, go backwards, oh my god, and you just fell. No, I don't get it. I don't think so. Either, again, if it's true, remember in the first trial, there was like Karen Reed's alcohol level. There was like this clinical and the toxicology variation of where they looked and NDH, right? Dr. Losa said that she went to 34 February, the blood stain was in garage. Who's Dr. Lusata? Who's that? There was blood stains. I know, I heard that, but I don't. Who's Dr. Losata? Laposata. Did you say Laposata? Oh, the judge struck it from the jurors. Yes, Dr. Laposata, right? So did she, yeah. So did she said? So I heard that, but I don't. I think she just said, I went inside to the garage, and then the judge stopped her. I didn't hear the blood. There was blood. She said that? I don't think so. I didn't hear that. I mean, if she heard that, if she said that, oh my god. But I heard from the last trial there was this going on. She said yes. Oh my god. I have to go back and watch that, because then that's the theory that right there. I mean, can you believe it? How inhuman this is? Inhumane? This is just unbelievable. At the steps. Do you think he fell from the stairs? No. No, I don't think he fell from the stairs, otherwise he would have bruises all over his body. I don't think so. We never got to hear the rest of, yeah, exactly. So the judge blocked that. I heard that. Guys, this is so crazy. If he dies within 15 minutes and he wasn't dead, people, they just constantly confuse that. They keep saying, oh, and the dead person found on the Fairview on the lawn. He wasn't dead. It took him later quite a bit a while to die. And with that, what she said, a person will be dead within 15 minutes. This is just brutal, guys. Think about I love science, how science proves everything. You cannot lie the heck out of science. Full stop. You can lie the crap out of yourself. The human body is so unbelievable. It will tell you all the story. Whether you are sick, whether you are dead, how you died, how you got sick, how you got the sickness is my topic, that what I'm focusing on. But and I don't know if I don't know if you remember that, but I did my PhD in genetics, right, in cancer, but in the Department of Molecular Pathology in Germany. So I was in the pathology institute. So downstairs where our refrigerators was a morgue. So in the elevators going up and down, there was oftentimes a dead body next to you. You go down, you go up. So, okay, let's see. Kirsten says, let me see. And we know he had at least 3 liters of blood that was never located, but we know that he wasn't killed on the lawn. The blood wouldn't have spread through the snow. Exactly, right? That like just drop of blood does in the toilet. Yes. And where was that blood recovered from? I missed that part totally. I guess I missed that part because it was so obnoxiously like beyond ridiculous to even watch this. Like with that party cup. Where was the lots of cups of blood recovered from? Obviously not from the grass. Does somebody know? I don't even know that. Where was it recovered from? I mean, I remember the pictures, like 6 cups, big cups of blood was recovered. From where? She couldn't comment on the house because there was no proof. Yeah, I mean, the judge anyway doesn't allow that to go in because that house will not be allowed to bring in. And so, but this was just insanity. I mean, I think this jury will not, I mean, unless the judge and Brennan does some very big shady SHIT. They collected some drops of blood from the snow. But it wasn't some drops, Amber. It was 6 or so cups half full of blood. It wasn't some just drops. Right? Remember that? The red alcohol plastic cups for parties? They are pretty big cups and they were half full. So it was quite a bit of blood. So what I don't understand is we need to go back and hide just drops in the cups. I thought it was just gathered with some snow. But it was quite a bit. You're saying the snow melted, that's why it became so liquid? But those bloods only drops in the cups. Only drops in the cups. But the cups were quite red. That's how I remember. That like the liquid was quite red, wasn't it? I just don't know. I mean, that that is okay, another story, because they obviously they never went inside to get that blood. But for me, I was more thinking now it is the barbaric side is clear, as you just said, Kirsten. That's how barbaric it is. It is now even further clear how barbaric this was. What on earth happened between 12:30, last time he used his cell phone, and 4 a.m. when the fourth edge appeared, and then what he put outside, because that body temperature and his injuries, the timeline match. Everything matches. The human body matches that timeline, exact timeline. I am mind blown by this. And I hope that people put this together like this, because, and also at the end, that the defense put this like that, and the ending, at the end speech, and the doc wasn't like the doc. So let's talk about the doc. Let's talk. So the timeline in my mind is now clear. Between 12:30 and 4 a.m., he was inside in the warm place. That injury must have been gotten at 4 a.m. when he was placed outside, because then it was clear that he will be dying, because that brain popped up open. And he started to get, I guess, I don't know, his raccoon eyes maybe over there or outside, but I guess after the brain, that was the injury, was closer to when he was put outside. Why? Because also then when he was incapacitated, he would not be able to move, and because of he wasn't able to move, his body temperature was going down. Why do I say that? When I had done a lot of mountaineering in New Hampshire, so I would do also, I did winter summit too, above the tree line. And in mountaineering, what you do is outside, in order to avoid frostbite and get the body temperature down, you would do tiny, like this, shrinking of your body, so that your body pumps still like blood and you keep you warm. This is how, just so you, as a tip, and the cold, to in order to avoid to get, your body temperature hypothermia, you do like very gentle, small, like these movements, so that your body still can get active, the blood is being pumped. Even a small bit of a movement would have not caused his temperature to drop. Negative feedback. What is that negative feedback? So if he, let's say, if he would have be outside and he would have be still, our bodies are incredible, exactly, yes. So that's why I'm saying the body never lies. For you can lie the crap out of yourself, your body never lies. And so if you say, for example, you lie down there and you are not that bad injured that incapacitate you, like full stop, even if you try to move and try to get up and just do these small movements, would allow your heart to pump blood and keep your body still warm. That wasn't the case, because he was fully incapacitated, lying there, zero movement. And because of zero movement, the body temperature was dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. the mechanism kicks in to protect the other. Yes, exactly. The human body, I mean, if you think about the genes, like one gene affects the other, one gene affects the other, the protein affects the gene affects the protein, and everything is connected. That's why cancer is such a complex disease. That's why everything, that's why I focus on my work and this channel and my total health transformation, mental, physical, and emotional. And that's why I'm fighting against the medical system. And that's how I saved my life, because it's all connected. You cannot take one part, and the medical system is built upon one single piece. And as a scientist, I'm able to see the whole story because that's my training. But the medical physician, the physicians and the micro specialists or the specialists focusing on one single thing instead of the whole thing. And that's the medical system's problem. And that's what I'm fighting against. In any case, here he was so desperate. The holistic health, exactly. I use total health instead of holistic. I don't use the word holistic because for me, many woo-woo people use that word, so I totally don't like to use it. For me, it's total health, or total health, personalized health care or health. So I think he was so much decapitated that he was unable. So basically, his injury must have been occurred at 4 a.m. around that time. Why? Because he wasn't dead. Why? Because he wasn't frostbitten at that time yet. So, but what between? For 3.5 hours. What the heck happened between that time? He was not screaming. He was not talking. The dog wasn't barking. Listen, this dog bites were happening before. And in my mind, the scenario is, I think they got him so drunk, or I don't know. I mean, there's no, in the toxicology, there wasn't other drugs or anything like that, but he was like, the toxicologist has so much, like the alcohol level was so high, which doesn't match the videos in any case. But then the dog kicks in. There's no screaming, no dog barking, nobody hears anything. What I was thinking out of the sudden today was, maybe, I mean, this cannot also be possible, because I was thinking, why? Because remember that Brian Albert, was when he testified last year, he said the back side of that, from the garage, the back side opens to like a train station, or I don't know, like to the road where they bring the dogs to pee, right? It goes off to another street, the backside. So I was thinking, maybe they go outside to the other side and waited there, and then they brought it. But that's not possible, because his body temperature doesn't say that, and his injuries doesn't say that. So he must have been inside with the dog bites in that amount. There must have been screaming. There must have been dog barking like a maniac. I mean, Amber, you have Rottweilers. No, you have German Shepherds or Rottweilers? I think you had Rottweilers, right? So you can't imagine a dog not barking. And if he's that angry to do that, the dog goes like nuts. And then, oh, John, doesn't scream, or like, I can't even imagine that. Get a dog bite like this and you don't scream? I mean, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. So he got these injuries. The dog, did attack him, and he got all of this. And he was maybe way too drunk, or may be drunk. Surgeon Lang's house. So wasn't that the that Ford Edge? Exactly. Yeah. There's no way the dog wasn't barking and making noise. Zero chance. Zero. I mean, if you know a dog, if dog gets angry to that amount, there's no way. Full stop. So Kirsten said, isn't that party where, no, not Edge. So that other Chris Albert, is that the not Chris Albert, who was owning the Ford Edge that came by later on, another Albert, that one that the police officer that John didn't like, that had with Proctor together, was drinking. Which Albert was that? The middle brother, I guess. I don't know. So I don't know if and I think Kevin, exactly, Kevin Albert. So I think, guys, my theory is that Kevin Albert, yes. So my theory is that Kevin Albert didn't show up for the party. It was 4 freaking a.m. Since the first try, I was thinking, and no wonder they parked right at the flagpole, that Fort Edge. Immediately on the first try, I was thinking they called him to come and park at the flagpole to help out. I mean, they asked him to come, and no, he came to fix the situation. Yeah, to somehow to bring him out and put him on the flagpole so that he's covered. And because if Kevin Albert was, all the Alberts had Ford Edges too. Yes, but all the other Ford Edges are on the driveway, on the in garage or driveway. There was no other car other than the Ford Edge at that hour. So that was Kevin Albert's car. So because he was parked, all the other cars were inside or in the driveway. They would not park on the outside. So there was the only one from Kevin Albert's. It was Kevin's on the road, exactly. So I think that he was called to bring in and to immediately, that's what I thought last year. Immediately, like shield, when you have a child and you want them to pee, and you just put a child, or like on the, or I don't know, on the beach when you want a child to dress, you put like a shield like that, and then you like with a blanket, whatever, so that they get dressed. I immediately thought of that, like shielding from the, because if Kevin Albert was driving around, then he must have seen there's obviously that car, the blow driver was driving around, so he had to park there. Lucky said they never parked on the street. That was why he stood out to him. Exactly. That's why I said, and because if Kevin Albert would coming, if they called him and said, listen, come here, then help with this situation. When he was coming in, he must have seen that there's this blow driver and just cleaning up around. And that's why he would come in and park right there on the flagpole so that it's out of the vision of the blow driver so that he can come, he was going around. So that's why it was the only car there, parked right there. Not in front of the house, not in front of the garage or the driveway, right above there on the flagpole, right where John O'Keefe was. Like how, honestly, I don't understand how, there are multiple things I don't understand. How people are so stupid. Like, who don't understand that? There's a fault edge at 4 a.m. right at the flagpole, out of nowhere, while never, ever, ever a car parks at the Albert's house like that. Exactly, and that is exactly the moral compass and what they're capable of. And that's my other question, like other mind-blowing thing. How can people be so brutal? And when I was thinking of this, I know, right? And I was thinking the entire time, when you look at McCabe's attitude, both McCabe's attitude, particularly McCabe's attitude, like laughing, it was never investigated. And also was not investigated was Kevin Albert's phone. Did he get a phone call? Did he get a phone call? Brian Albert calls him, come here because you help us out. Did Higgins call him? Who was Higgins talking with? Butt dialing each other. Higgins called Brian Alberts. We know that. But what about Kevin Alberts? I think Kevin Albert was the higher ranking in the Boston, in the whatever police department, because I think John O'Keefe didn't like him or whatever. So Kevin Albert never got mentioned, although he has still a position, I think, in the police department. So he was never, ever, ever, he came up ever. What his cell phone data even say? We know McCabe's phone. We know Brian Alberts and Higgins. There was this butt dials, whatever, a lot of, and Nicole Alberts even. I mean, what about Kevin Albert? Because why? His Ford Edge was right there. I would very first call and investigate him. Did he set up the Jen interview when, though he wasn't supposed to be involved? He's supposed to recuse himself, right? But he did recuse himself. I'm not sure. I don't even remember anything about Kevin Alberts, anything about him. If I was an FBI, if I was an investigator, wouldn't you go closer? Like, first thing you want to investigate, so who was right next to that area, that location where the body was found? Right there. That wasn't Karen Reed's car at 4 a.m. That wasn't somebody else's car at 2 a.m., at 3 a.m., at 4 a.m., and not even at 5 a.m., at 4 a.m., out of nowhere, unusually so, never happened before, a Albert's Ford Edge parks right there when John O'Keefe was found. And no one even think about investigating that part. Right? Because he is the closest to the victim, physically close to the victim. That what I would immediately investigate, because you are the closest proximity physically to the victim. Plus, the victim has severe injuries. And there is a car right there. What? What are we even talking about? This is unbelievable to me. Kevin Albert, that car, never been brought up, even not even in a thought of by the defense or anyone. No one talks about this also on the internet. And John didn't want to go house because of Kevin. Exactly. Because something like he didn't, and he even asked in a text message who is coming. And then they, I guess, because they mentioned that he wasn't mentioned that he will be there, that's why he wanted to go. But I think he didn't want to, that's why he asked particularly, and that was even in the trial, that he asked who is coming or who is invited or who will be there or whatever. Or are people coming or something like that. So he asked that because he had some issues with Kevin Albert. Kevin Albert never ever even mentioned, which is mind-blowing to me. And Kevin Albert, I think, is the only one still in the police department. So, I mean, I am mind blown by this. Brian Alberts and Higgins did some shady SHIT, particularly Higgins. No question about this. But the cover-up and the cleanup and all that, Kevin Alberts was there, right there. No one talks about this. No one even mentioned him. And so, still the question is, between 12:30 a.m. when the last time they used his cell phone, he used his cell phone, up until 4 a.m. when that Ford Edge appeared, then the injury happened, not before. Otherwise he would have been dead, and his body temperature, if he would have been outside, would have been completely like frostbitten. Not the case. Also, he was still alive. So closer to the time of the Ford Edge, that's all the thing that happened. The dog was before and inside. John was inside. His body was still warm. And that was attacked by the dog. And that's also when I think they maybe gave him a lot of alcohol, whatever. Drink more. Then the dog bites. And then somehow closer to 4 a.m. that injury happened. That's when the Ford Edge comes. And that's when they put it in front of the flagpole. That's it. Because that's the body full stop analysis of the temperature and the injury and the timeline and the whole timeline. That, and what's happened inside for 3.5 hours that nobody heard anything is, I don't know, brutal. Like I just don't know. It's impossible to me. Nobody heard anything. Nobody heard a dog. that attack him so bad. How did he get so much alcohol in his body? How? What happened after he got dog bites? What's the laceration? What's the popping up of here and here? There were some glasses going on. I thought this for the first also, you know, there were some glass shattered. I bet Kevin took Chloe and his tongue. His tongue too. Yes. I was thinking of this today, the tongue. Kristen, you are right. Kevin took Chloe. That's why everyone is like, there was no dog when I burst in, right? McCabe burst in. There was like, that's why they're like, there is a dog, but there isn't a dog. There's no barking. The dog, you're right, Christine. The dog was gone at 4 a.m. by Kevin Alberts. Oh my God. You are right. Absolutely. And because of that, there was this confusion and like, no barking. No. Where's the dog? I haven't seen any dog. There was no dog. Kevin Alberts took the dog. Oh my God. Kevin Albert is the key, guys. He knows all the answer. That makes perfect sense, Chris. Exactly. He took the dog. Kevin Albert helped with everything. Cleaning up, like with John there and putting me outside and taking Chloe. No one talks about him. But again, guys, and I want to end this here because, oh my God, I still have a deadline. I still have a presentation to do. What on earth happened between 12:30, the last time he used his cell phone, and 3:34 a.m.? Why would they out of the, if he was so drunk already and the dog bites him for 3 hours, what are they doing in there? Is he unconscious already inside for 3.5 hours? And then why would he fall then? Or why would they, if he didn't fall, why would they hit him then with the dumbbell, whatever? This doesn't make any sense. What on earth happened? Oh, did they kept him captive? Oh my God, I'm going crazy now. Like, did they kept him captivated, or what just happened there? There was, guys, some fists. There was. Even John had on this knuckles some bruising. What about this? And what about his nose, right? This was like popped here. I mean, if it's just so brutal, guys. I mean, I just cannot believe this. The way I think he was tortured to death. That's what I'm thinking. I am thinking I don't think he deserved to die like this. I was today, I was thinking of this. He didn't deserve to die like this. He was tortured to death. Imagine, I mean, I can burst to cry right now. Imagine the brain swells so bad that it goes down through the hole to the spine, and then the spine gets so tight inside and then blocks your heartbeat and your breathing, your lungs, and you're slowly suffocate. This is just brutal, guys. And the audacity to act like this. So much. I heard about that too, that he, something with Kevin Albert, that he knew something, he found out something. He was basically, as I keep mentioning my last year's video, he was the good guy. He was so, they were so, you can see it to your bones in the courtroom. Every single person hates Karen. They are so jealous of the two. They hate, the guys hated John, was so jealous of him. And let me tell you this, we always think, the society thinks women are so jealous, blah, blah. Let me tell you this, and I experienced this to my bone in academia and in scientific fields. The jealousy of a man is so, it can be very brutal, very, very harsh. I've experienced myself this a million times from women and from men. Like, I want to mention something Dr. Laposata said when Hank was questioning her about, let me see, about the car speed. She said, well, it didn't hit him, so it doesn't matter, case closed. 100%. I love that. I mean, I loved everything about that because it is black and white. There's no other way. And the way she said that, as I said in the beginning, like, she closed every hole he tried to poke, close it with science. That closed, nope, because of this. That's nope, because, and you could sell. I mean, we will do a lot. If you want me to, let me know in the comments. I want to do a lot. There's a lot of body language that I could go into. I mean, with Lolly, oh my God, don't even get started with that one. And Hank Brennan, oh my God. And you can tell from his voice, he got like that, like that, like that, like that, because he got quieter and quieter and more smoothly asking the questions, because she was shutting me down. And he was also a little bit embarrassed a little bit, because the questioning, and that happens in psychology if you are in an environment where were able to go through with ease when you BSing people around, like that Aperture guy, that Aperture PhD. He was, as I mentioned that video, he used abuse tactics. Exactly. It's like he was like bullshitting I guess his entire time, his entire career, or maybe his entire studies, like bullshitting people around with just like empty talks, and everybody's like, oh my God. And how you see that is they throw in some jokes or something like behaviorals, like coolness inside. That's psychology. That's like, I know nothing and I know I don't nothing, and I just can BSing things. I've seen a lot of colleagues like that in academia, and in medical research, not just academia, but in startups and stuff like that. It's just unbelievable. And when you think of that, you wouldn't even trust medical research if you see the characters there. But um, when that happens, then if you then hit with somebody who knows exactly that topic that you're BSing people around, then your attitude gets like turning inside out, upside down, and then you started to like make weird actions and words, and it could come across more stupid and stupid and stupid and stupid. But here, Hank Brennan was able to, with his, as Amber said, like this abusive tactics, if we do that, people would get, who are insecure or have lack of knowledge, would get pretty much run under the bus with that, because they were just, it's an easy abusive tactic, right? But when you run into people who like this Dr. Laposata, she knows exactly, like, you can't beat her. You just absolutely can't beat her with, because she knows all. She knows the whole package, and not only she knows the whole package, more importantly, she was able to easily convey that knowledge. That's the difference with her. Not that the others didn't know stuff, but she, the educational style that she naturally has, or she has developed by giving classes, courses, lecturing, she knew exactly how to teach and how to convey this information. That's why, because she did it such in a perfect way that what the layman easily understood that, including Brennan. And because of that, he understood that there's no way out. I can't beat this woman. And when that happened, he realized that his voice was more quieter and quieter, and he asked more gently the questions. You could see it, like, go back and watch it. It was unbelievable. Like, it was like literally like this when he couldn't do it. And it is so lovely to see that. I was just mind blown from the educational side that this is what we need. And you can tell, and I am so happy she did that. You could tell from her educational background, she was looking, and that's what we do in public speaking and also in teaching. You look the people in the eye. And this way, I look at here, but you guys are here. So I look straight into your eyes as I speak. And that's the power of persuasion, so that you convey your stuff to the audience and the audience gets it. She was, wasn't she good, Amber? So that's exactly how it was so important that she looked also one by one in the jury's eye, and from her looking at the jury, I could immediately tell that the jury was so listening to her. Why do I know that? Because when I give lectures, and it was the only cross I enjoyed watching. I believe the jury liked her. They laughed when the doctor said, "Did you see how she got scared?" I jumped too. Oh my God. I felt bad with that. I felt bad for her. She was so cute. I mean, Um, I think the only thing I just didn't like so much was I think she would have been better if she had, I think, an immediate attitude towards the Commonwealth. I didn't like that. So you are an impartial, or should be an impartial witness. And so I think that if she was a little bit like playing this defense game a little bit, and that I didn't like about her. I mean, I was a little bit surprised, honestly. I was disappointed because um, she should have been just like straight and answering the question, instead of she just did some weird attitudes toward him, like, good afternoon, it's 9 minutes to afternoon. Like, what? I don't think you should. It. I think she didn't need that. Why would she said that? Just move on. Like, what? Yeah. So what? Good afternoon. Whatever. I mean, what's the point of that? And so I didn't like some of her attitudes about. She could have just give answers, because she would beat him anyway with her knowledge, but I think from the jury perspective, and from my perspective, honestly, it was unnecessary, because from whole of her high level knowledge, because she blew everybody's mind anyway in the very direct examination, there's no point to go low to that and just like do some. She was doing good curves, and she was able to give the answers back to Brennan, but there wasn't no need for that. I don't like it. I always look when the examinations happen how the witness behaves towards either side. If it's a Commonwealth witness, and then they do the both sides, then they should be impartial, full stop. I don't care if you got paid. And this lady, she didn't do it impartial so much. And I didn't like that. That's not professional to me. So, for example, Dr. Wrenchler, I mean, we don't see him like cross-examine right now, but we saw him last time. He's just like full-blown straightforward guy, right? He's just like, that's what it is, and that's what it is. I love Wrenchler. Like, oh my god, he's just blows my mind. Also, Dr. Wolf, although he was really squeezed by Brennan, he was holding his composure. He was never kind of disrespectful or like this weird like attitudes, whatever. So for me, experts opinions, expert witness, Dr. Laposata was like the rock star, and she was totally put a stop on the whole case, full stop. But from the style wise, I love Wrenchler, full stop. Wrenchler is the guy. We will see how he reacts, but I think he's just so rock solid from his education, from his style, from his things. She emulated truth and integrity. Yes, of course she did, but again, I don't think she needed to. She went somehow weirdly in a defense somehow with the Commonwealth, and I just didn't understand it. I was shocked actually. I didn't expect that. So from the witnesses themselves, I loved the three. Nagel, his girlfriend, I love her. Like, I loved her so much. The blonde, Nagel's girlfriend, former girlfriend, and the car driver, like the pickup driver, like the three. I love them as witness. They're like, boom. And I loved also Heather. Yes, Heather. Yes. Oh, I could hug her. I mean, I loved her so much. She could be my friend, like literally. She was a doll. Yes. I mean, I could have so seen her, she and I be friends because she was so cute. I mean, so like, so confident. I love confident people. She was just like, and she was respectful and confident, and she was, I loved her character so much. And I loved Nagel, not his sister, but him. He was just so, you can see, shy guy, but very sweet. You can tell he was so sweet. And he was just speaking the truth, and that's it, but very shy way. That way he was cute. And this the other friend, the driver, was also like a very straightforward guy. But also what I loved from the witnesses, the pharmacist friend, that lady, she was also very sweet. Like that's what I would like to see, when they're just like straightforward with both sides, because it's the truth. And I just don't like when witnesses trying to, there's no point to move in either direction. And particularly if you're paid, that's even worse, because then doesn't show, you know. Honestly, I still think that she didn't need to do that. Yes, Kolaktas. I could never pronounce her last name, but she was cute. She was sweet. I liked the way she also gave testimony. She was very straightforward. This is what happened, and these and that. And I love witnesses like that. And of course the blow driver, right? Is it right, or blow driver? Like, yeah, snow blow driver. She was a great witness, yes, and she was so honest, and so you could tell that she was living the moment. You could tell she was emotionally and visually living the moment as she was telling. That's what you want as a witness, and that's so powerful. And that blow driver, I loved him. He was so, at the moments where I was thinking, okay, tow truck driver, just don't call him the tow truck driver. You just don't call it tow truck driver. Lucky, his name was Lucky. I don't know if his name was Lucky, but, or whatever his name was, but um so what I was really was scared that he would kind of, with his Brennan's tactic, that he would just say something like, if, accidentally, and he was no, straightforward. And I almost cried when he said that, that he was experiencing his loss of his wife. I was like, I think nobody would expect it at that moment. I think everyone was like, what? And he was still focused, straightforward. I loved when he told Brennan, he said respectfully, I don't drive a tow truck to Brennan. What was that? About his wife? Yeah. Yeah, his wife died, and he said that to Brennan. I think everyone was shocked. I was shocked. I think nobody expected that, and he said it such in a straight face, and in a way that, I almost cried. Like, but Brennan was like, washed it over, like, yeah, sorry for the loss, and let's move on. But oh my God, he, during all of this, he lost his wife. Like, what? And he never once flipped, or not flipped, but broke, basically, when he said how disrespectful Brennan was when he said his wife passed. Yes. What was with the truck driver? I don't know what it. I love when he told Brennan. He said respectfully, "I don't drive a tow truck." Tow truck. Oh, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. Honestly, to be very honest with you, I skip that Brennan cross exams. I just can't. I can't watch that. I don't like, not only don't like, but I can't watch these abusive behavior and I feel suffocated. I hear what I hear. For me to make analysis, I don't need his BS. I don't need to listen to his BS, because for me, more importantly, is what the witness say, and I have already like make the analysis based on that. But I just don't need to hear any extra BS abusive behavior by Brennan. And I think with the defense doing 2 times, particularly with that shirt mistrial movement, that which he said was a mistake, but it wasn't a mistake, obviously. But I think that humbled him down so much, because he was really badly caught. And because the first mistry, he's like, yeah, whatever. But the second mistry with that shirt that he said, and you could tell from the body language, from his voice, from his behavior, that's why his voice got quieter and quieter, because he was literally screaming at the beginning of the trial, and up until the mid-trial he was like, good afternoon, why is that? You're like, what is wrong with you? Why are you screaming? And Lally, like, shut up. Like, and Lally, what are you even doing there? I mean, incapable of anything. I mean, this screaming, overboarding, like, talks and whatever. But then after the second mistake with that shirt thing there, with that, oh, it was my mistake. And then he got so badly caught. And then he realized, in my mind, I should better, like, this is getting, like, my tactics, I don't really think it's working with the defense. They caught me a second time, and then he played along quite more and more, because he said, yeah, I don't have problems with that, I don't have problems with this, yeah, sure. So it was more and more, he played it like more and more, and then he was more submissive. And also then his voice got more and more quieter when he also cross-examined Dr. Laposata as well. So I really hope that Brennan is such a weasel. It's just hard to watch him. I don't like to watch him. I don't want to listen to him. I don't like these brutal tactics he's using. It's so harsh to my soul that I can't watch him. I can't hear him. I don't want to hear him. It's just his nonsense he brings out, the question he brings out, his ridiculousness of his question is just hard to watch for me. But I'm glad that it's getting over. I think the jury totally gets it. And if judge doesn't do any crap, and if Brennan last minute doesn't do any crap, then I think the jury got it. I really think the jury got it, because the reason why they got it is because Dr. Laposata and the ARCA guys, nothing else. I think it up until that time wasn't clear, but the two, and I'm glad they were put this very nice tactic wise at the very end, because they saw I think maybe the strategy that the defense put on is by looking at the jury, knowing that they are young and knowing that they are writing down, especially like mechanical, technical stuff. I think they perhaps made a decision that let's put all the technical guys, all the high level, high experts at the end so that they're like, because they're interested in that, instead of bringing Higgins and the text messages and whatever. I think they more interested in the how did this happen, what's the path, how did this everything putting together, what's the scenario. I think the defense might have seen this and they observed it from the jury so that they did that kind of tactic. That because I hear a lot from these law tubers, whatever channels, that they're like, why they are not bringing Higgins in, why they are not bringing Proctor in. I think, and because I mean nobody talks about it, because I think that's what they're strategically seeing over there, that they are more interested in technical stuff, the young generation, not like the schnick schnack about like who had an affair with whom and whatever. To say, how did this happen? And this was perfect. And I think Rentschler, his just attitude, his style, and his presentation and his eloquence, um, you know, conveying the science to the audience is just, oh, perfect to watch. And that will hit the mark. Read today and tomorrow will be perfect. So that's what I'm thinking. But again, what happened to John O'Keefe? Like, it, one theory that we had all the time in our minds, but then today everything shifted in my brain, and the scenario, I think it's much more horrible than it looks, than it was or sounded or we thought of. I think it was way more brutal. And the fact that he was the entire time inside. What? Oh, God. Guys, I don't know. How can people be like this? And then the McAbe's attitudes that nothing happened and just like, ha ha ha. How can people function like this? Like the highest level of lying. I mean, I just don't understand. And in such a way that it becomes normal, their day-to-day life. How do these people sleep at night? Like, how? I don't understand. How is this even possible? And forget about the older generations, but what if the younger generations, if they were all involved in this lie, how messed up can they be to be at that young age, in a high school age, in a high school, 19-year-olds, right? To be so messed up that they think it's just so normal that we are just doing this. And it's more brutal than we thought. I just don't understand. It's just like horrendous to even think about that. I mean, tell me in the comments, like, after this, what are your thoughts? Like, what can be, could have happened within these 3.5 hours? 3.5 hours, 3.5, 4 hours. From 12:30 to 4 a.m., from 12:30 when last time he used his cell phone until the fourth edge. What the heck happened then? Yes, dog bites happened then, but else? for 3.5 hours, 4 hours he was inside. In what condition? Not that injury. That happened later. But why later then? What happened then? That bad injury happened then later. Oh my God. It's just unbelievable. So it's so good to see you guys. I want to do this short, but I'm so happy I saw you guys. I was really feeling in my gut that I would be able to talk with you guys. Kirsten, Amber, oh my God, you guys are so sweet. So good to see you. Sending you such a big kiss and a big hug. And yeah, let me also know later if you have any theories with that, because this is getting nuts, very crazy. So I wish you good night, guys, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.